I'm Kerry.
And I'm Katie.
And this is Grave Silence.
Yeah, so how are we doing?
I'm good, yeah, I'm good.
Well, I'm glad you're good.
I've had a satisfactory lick on the nose from Pod Pup.
Pod Pup, good Pod Pup, glad. We record our sessions probably about 3 weeks in advance, don't we? The very early ones we did quite a while in advance because obviously I had a lot of trouble with the Jean Bonnet one, and we won't talk
about that.
What goes on with Jean Bonnet stays with Jean Bonnet. That sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
No, it did
as
well,
we knew from
it?
the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we tend to kind of record these about 3 weeks in advance, and so it is currently hotter than Satan's taint in the UK.
Just gone.
And I am sweating like a Catholic priest in a choir boy convention. It is ridiculous.
It's horrid. You know when you get out the shower, but you never totally dry off because you're just sort of sweating again as soon as you get
I've just
out
got
of
a
the full
fine
shower.
sheen everywhere. It's disgusting.
No, I'm not enjoying it.
No.
I'm not enjoying it at all.
No,
I'd rather be cold.
Yeah,
I can layer up, can't I?
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather be in a crypt somewhere.
Yeah.
Snoozing in a coffin.
Of course you would.
But here we are. We're having to deal with the English summer, and it's very different to the abroad summer. You know,
it is.
We're not the only ones to say this, let's face it.
I'm not lying next to a pool for a start with an Aperol Spritz.
No, true. And it is just a different feeling. It's a drier heat abroad, isn't it?
It is. It's very moist.
It's very moist in the UK right now, and not for good reasons, if we're honest. But so you may hear the fan slightly going in the background because otherwise we will swelter, curl up and die away. But we will try our best. We have listened to it previously before to check that we couldn't hear the fan because we don't want any more bloody audio problems, do we?
No excuses, people.
No excuses. Hopefully you shouldn't hear the fan. You may hear Pod Pup in the bottom tapping around because he's with us as per usual.
Yeah.
But other than that, we shall get started on Miss Tracie Andrews.
Yes, the delight.
So we thought we'd go with Tracie Andrews, which probably isn't as big as some of them.
No.
Obviously. We'd have a bash at Tracie Andrews and tell her harrowing story.
Oh, good Lord.
Because she was such a good actress throughout it, wasn't she? So, yeah, her harrowing performance, which was quite frankly Oscar nominee.
Oh, but I vaguely remember it at the time, actually.
I do, because I would have probably been about 15, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember it, and I just, I thought she was dodgy. I thought she was dodgy from then.
Shall we make a start?
Indeed. Let's buckle up.
The case of Tracie Andrews and Lee Harvey begins in the mid-90s in Coopers Hill, Alvechurch, Worcestershire, where the outward picture of a couple's life concealed a relationship slowly fracturing under the weight of jealousy, insecurity, and emotional volatility. Lee Harvey was 25 years old and he was a bus driver for West Midlands Travel. He'd grown up in a close family and adored his mum and his sister. He was also a dad to 3-year-old Danielle from a previous relationship. Andrews, then 27, herself with a 6-year-old daughter, again from a prior relationship, appeared charismatic, outwardly confident, and capable of being charming in social settings.
Of course she did.
Privately, however, it was a different story. She was allegedly prone to sudden mood swings and had an explosive temper. People who knew her described her as unpredictable and someone who could be affectionate one moment and furious the next. Andrews came from a background marked by volatility. At home, her parents divorced when she was around 6. Her mother remarried, and Andrews craved love and attention, something she felt she didn't receive.
I mean, we all have, not all of us, obviously, but, you know, the majority of people in the UK probably come from divorced parent backgrounds, do they not?
Yeah.
Seems a bit extremes to say that she's probably, I mean, she is probably affected by it, don't get me wrong, we've all been affected by divorce, haven't we? But,
of course,
you know,
we have. But
it seems a bit extreme to have mood swings over it and a bit angry.
Yeah, again, reasons, not excuses, people. It will be on a t-shirt.
It's going on a t-shirt.
When they first met at Ritz's nightclub in Birmingham, Andrews was 24 and Lee was 23. She had aspirations of becoming a model while working as a barmaid at the Red Lion pub.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh, but it just makes me, every time I hear that or see that, because I've watched quite a few little clips and stuff on YouTube, when it says she has aspirations of becoming a model, didn't everyone in the 90s?
Didn't they?
Everyone was going to be a model.
It was the big poofy blonde hair, you see.
It was, and it was giving Alexis from Dallas, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, everyone had aspirations of being a model because we were all going to be a model. We were all going to have a portfolio, even if we had a face like a foot. But yeah, aspirations of model of being a model while working as a barmaid at the Red Lion.
Were you clubbing at kind of 24, 23?
I was clubbing well before 23.
I was clubbing at 15, 16.
Yeah, I was. I remember sneaking into my first club at the age of 14, and that was, I can't remember what it's called. No, what was it? Was it not Inquire? Oh God, it was the one on Leicester Square.
Bloody hell, you went posh, didn't you?
Go big or go home. That's because I spent most of my time hopping on buses back and forth and pretending I was asleep, because you could do that back in the 90s. You know, you could hop on there because the number 12 used to have a bus conductor.
Aww.
So if you went from the bus conductor from Peckham, where I lived, you could whoop on there, go upstairs, make yourself pretend you were asleep for the first sort of 10 minutes, because apparently you fall asleep that quickly on a bus when you're 14, and whip yourself a free ride up to Leicester Square, up to London, and then get into... I can't remember the name of the club, and that's really going to annoy me.
Have a Google. Have a little Google while we're chatting. But my first club experience, I would say, was New Age.
Poo Age.
Costa del Dover. Or Underage, as it was more aptly entitled.
I lost the heel to my shoe in there.
Did you?
Yeah, it stuck to the floor.
Many a thing has been lost in New Age, let me tell you. Not by myself.
I would bear to...
I never lost anything of any regard.
Other than plenty of dignity. Yeah, but heel of my shoe, it unstuck on the floor. That tells you the
wipe your feet on the way out.
What the carpet was like in there.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it was grim.
I used to be down at the party bar downstairs, and I would be waiting for a drink, or I'd be sat there because I don't mind a bit of a dance, but get hot and bothered. And I'd just be a bit chatty, so I would be at the bar, and every time somebody came to order, I would say, "Mine's a Jack Daniels, please." 9 times out of 10, I would bloody get one.
Fair play.
So I was,
fair play.
16, 17 years old, probably nearer 17, necking shots of Jack Daniels on a Wednesday, Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, we used to do the usual and kind of whip it in underneath whatever you were wearing in a whatever small bottle of 2020 or whatever. Behind a skip somewhere. Classy.
2020. But yeah, I mean, this love story started at Ritz's nightclub, and Lee was outgoing. He was good looking. If you see pictures of him,
he was very good looking, very 90s.
Yeah, he looked a bit like a Backstreet Boy, didn't he?
He did, and he had a double earring.
Yes.
Which, very 90s, and a 90s curtains haircut.
Yes, very important.
Very 5.
Aka Jamie from EastEnders.
Yeah, Richie from 5.
Yeah, nice.
They all had them, didn't they? Mark Owen.
She's off now. She's off. Another short king.
Another short king. We love a short king.
So Lee was outgoing and good looking, and he had an interest in cars and dressed well. Their relationship moved at what was described as a lightning pace. It always seems like a good idea at the start. You kind of met those people.
Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, I was again doing that younger, but I was, I can't, this is my person.
I can't be without that person.
I can't ever imagine being without that person.
Oh, see, I was a good girl when I was younger. I never really had that. No, it wasn't until I was a lot older that I found my person. And then lost it. But here we go.
Well. That's enough said about that.
Enough said about that, yeah.
Within 3 months, the couple had moved in together, and within 6 months, they were engaged. Despite this, there were frequent arguments, and they often split up. On again, off again, like so many relationships.
Yeah.
The jealousy between them was intense, and it was often triggered by minor things. Both of them had social jobs, which meant regular arguments about speaking to other people. Other disputes were about Lee being late home or spending time with friends. The relationship was unstable, marked by arguments that neighbours could hear through the walls, it said.
Oh dear.
And these weren't occasional disagreements. They were frequent and repetitive, leaving the couple drained and both still simmering. Andrews would often throw Lee's clothes out of the window or into black bags on the street and change the locks so he couldn't get back in. Friends later told investigators that Lee had begun confiding in them about Tracie's behaviour. He said that she would fly into rages over imagined slights, accuse him of cheating and interrogate him about where he'd been. He'd started to feel trapped, and in the weeks before his death, he told more than one person, including his mother, that he was seriously thinking about ending the relationship. His mum told him to leave Andrews after discovering she had bitten him on the neck on one occasion.
Jesus Christ.
I just think biting someone,
That's savage, isn't
that's
it?
animalistic.
I mean, look, we've all had arguments, haven't we? Let's face it, with your other half, and sometimes it's probably gone a little bit further than you expected or what have you, and you've been angry and maybe something might have possibly been launched or something, but biting someone on the neck, Jesus
Christ, that's savage.
That's vicious.
So one friend recalled Lee saying he didn't know how to leave without causing a scene, and he feared that Andrew's reaction would be extreme. Another remembered him saying he felt like he was walking on eggshells in his own home.
Bless him. That's really sad, isn't it?
A lot of us have been there, though, haven't we? Just kind of that.
And this is the thing. This is the difference with this case. I mean, obviously, we've gone through. Aileen Warner has spoken about violence and things like that towards women, but this is what's different about this case, is that it's aimed at a man, isn't it? And it's obviously, we know more about domestic violence and domestic abuse and things like that with what comes out in the press now, but I think it's so important that we do touch on it and we do share stories about men, because it
100%.
does happen. It
100%.
does happen. And there are those women out there that are violent, and there are those lads that are probably either too ashamed because they think they've got to be masculine about it, or don't feel like they're going to be believed, or even just the stress of thinking I've got to walk away from another relationship or a relationship of something. It must be really hard. But by late 1996, the relationship had reached a point where arguments were almost daily. Andrew's jealousy had escalated to the point where she monitored Lee's movements, questioned his phone calls, and accused him of lying even when there was no evidence of wrongdoing. Lee's friends noticed he'd seemed tense, distracted, and increasingly anxious. He'd lost weight, wasn't sleeping well, and had been avoiding social situations because he didn't want to trigger another argument at home. The emotional pressure was building, and those closest to him sensed something was going to give.
Poor man.
I know. On the 1st of December 1996, the tension between them reached its breaking point. They'd been arguing throughout the day and went to the pub to have a drink and try to reconcile. Now, I don't know who suggested going to the pub. I don't know if it was Lee, but on something I watched, they said it's a possibility that it might have been him to just try and kind of, dampen that.
Public place, I suppose. And
maybe, yeah. Or dampen that argument and say, look, let's try and reconcile. Let's try and sort things out. That evening, they left the house together in Lee's white Ford Escort, heading along a quiet stretch of St Mary's Road. What happened next would become one of the most notorious lies told in a British murder investigation. At around 10:30 p.m, emergency services were called to the roadside. The couple's car had stopped near a cottage, and the commotion had alerted a male resident living yards away, who discovered Harvey stabbed on the road and a bruised and bloodied Andrews standing by him. He immediately ran back to his house to call the emergency services. Police noted that Harvey's car had apparently not stopped on the road in a hurry, but had been parked near the side of the road. When paramedics arrived, they found Lee Harvey lying on the ground, bleeding heavily from multiple stab wounds. Now, I thought that 17 was a lot when Gypsy Rose and Gojon killed Dee Dee. Spoilers in the previous episode. But Lee had been stabbed 45 times in total.
God. That's savage, isn't it?
45 times. But listen to this. It was in his back, his throat and his chest. His carotid artery and jugular vein had both been severed, causing fatal blood loss. Andrews was hysterical, screaming that Lee had been stabbed. Lee was still alive when help reached him, but the wounds were fatal. One stab wound had pierced his heart. He died shortly afterwards despite attempts to save him. The brutality of the attack shocked first responders, and the randomness of it, as Andrews described, terrified the public. That is anger, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like we said, I thought 17 times was a lot, but 45 times.
The energy.
On the 3rd of December, 2 days later, Andrews appeared on television at a police press conference. She sat shaking and crying, bruises covering her face and 2 black eyes visible, pleading for the public to help identify the man she claimed had murdered her boyfriend. Andrews explained that she and Lee had spent the evening drinking in their local pub before leaving in a Lee's white Ford Escort. As they drove home along a country road a few miles from their flat, they overtook what she described as a tatty, dark, F-registered Ford Sierra. She claimed the Sierra's driver immediately reacted, tailing them through the lanes, flashing his headlights and shouting abuse, and that he and Lee were playing cat and mouse with each other for a while. I watched this the other day, actually, and she literally does say that. She also said, I suppose all men and women get a bit like that when they get behind the wheel of a car. Sometimes you change.
No,
not
no,
all of
Tracy,
us.
no.
I mean, I'd class myself, I'm quite an angry driver. I admit that. I hold my hands up. I am an angry driver. I do shout an F and Jeff if people pull out at me, you know. But no, I don't think all people do change and do become angry behind the wheel. But anyway. Approaching Cooper's Hill, a narrow stretch about a mile from their home, Lee pulled over, telling her he wanted to confront the man who had been chasing them. According to Andrews, an argument broke out between Lee and Sierra's driver before the man returned to his vehicle. She described him as having starey eyes.
For fuck's sake.
What she actually said was, he was a fat man with starey eyes.
Brilliant.
Charming.
Thanks for that.
Charming. Moments later, she said the Sierra's passenger got out, walked towards Lee and hit him, though she claimed she didn't see what with. Andrews said that when she attempted to intervene, the passenger punched her in the face before driving off, leaving her cradling her dying fiancé on the deserted lane. She ended the conference by appealing to the passenger of the unknown vehicle, saying, "Whoever you are, this person has ruined my life. Please tell us who he is. You won't get into any trouble at all. It was not your fault." And she said that, yeah, she said that in the press conference.
Oh, it wasn't your fault because perhaps you didn't exist.
No, but what a weird thing to say.
No,
like, put yourself, if you were in those shoes and your fiance had just been attacked, pulled out of a car or gotten out to start an argument, and you'd seen him be attacked and stabbed, your first initial thought would not be to tell the person that was in the passenger seat, you won't get into any trouble at all. It was not your fault.
I mean, then whose fault was it then, Tracy?
Exactly.
Other than the person.
That's
also,
not what you would be thinking, was it?
She's saying Lee's been hit, although I don't know what with. Okay, we've heard from his injuries.
Yeah.
45 stab wounds, back, chest and throat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does she think we're stupid?
Well.
Her emotional appeal created a wave of public fear. People believed a violent killer was roaming the streets, but police were already uneasy. The crime scene did not support her story.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like you say, they're not silly.
No.
They're going to be looking at her every move. And it's often said, and I've seen it in other cases before, where rather than getting the victim, or quote commas, victim, to draw a person or describe a person, they will get them to go up and have an appeal to ask for that person to come forward. And that's when they're watching their body language and seeing what they... How many times have we seen that before?
Oh God, what's his name? Mick? Is it Mick Finch? You set fire
to
the
God,
house
that was,
with all
yes.
his piss in it? And
he come out and he was crying, but there wasn't a tear in sight. Well, the other one is Shannon Matthews.
Yes.
That's a very typical example of that. And I've heard of it being done before, where they do it purposely to try and scope out the perp.
So a witness statement from a child in a nearby cottage stated that she could hear a row between a male voice and a woman. There were no footprints belonging to a third person, no tyre marks or signs of a car overtaking another on soft, narrow country road on a cold December night, and no signs of a struggle involving an unknown attacker. At the scene, police found several items: a spring and another part from what appeared to be a multi-tool penknife, and a black beanie hat in the hedgerow next to where Lee's car was parked. They initially presumed that the hat belonged to the attacker and sent it to the lab to be tested for human hair. What was found was a black and white cat's hair, matching Tracie's black and white cat at home. Police discovered the hat was Lee's beanie and had been in Andrews' pocket. They also found 80 to 100 strands of Andrews' hair in Lee's hand that he had pulled from her head. Andrews tried to tell investigators that he had pulled the hair from her head while she was comforting him as he was dying, but pathologists disagreed.
That's
some fucking
I was
gall, isn't it?
just going to say the same, exactly the same. I was going to say that is a lot of hair, really. So from what she's saying is where apparently during his last moments he grabbed her hair and pulled some out. One, if you've been stabbed 45 times, I'm guessing you probably wouldn't have the strength to do something like that anyway. But then to turn around and say it was in his last moments.
Just that's the gall, the fucking barefaced fucking cheek of it. Do you know what I
80 to
mean?
100 hairs. He must have really...
Do you know what? I've had nothing similar happen to that. But in feeding my son as a baby, he would hang on to bits of my hair just while he was like having his bottle and stuff, just for comfort, and would stroke my hair. And as he pulled on that really fucking hurt. And that was just a few strands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she must have had a bald patch.
To grab that amount, and you can, and now we know what we know.
Just,
you can imagine him trying to defend himself or pull her away. Or
poor guy.
The wound patterns showed that Lee had been stabbed at extremely close range. Tracie's injuries were superficial and inconsistent with the violent fight that she described. As investigators dug deeper, the truth began to surface.
The other thing is that he was stabbed, right? And I mean, obviously I've never stabbed anyone and no one's ever stabbed me, thank God. But that's a really personal thing, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot of anger to stab somebody. And I mean, I don't particularly feel much for guns, but that's a very different feeling to stab somebody than it would be, for instance, to shoot them at long range. And I have shot things before. I have been out and been shooting and stuff like that. But to shoot somebody, but the difference between that and stabbing somebody, that's a lot of anger.
Hugely. And like I said, the energy, and it's really personal, isn't it? It's a personal rage. Witnesses described the couple's volatile relationship to police. Friends told them about Andrew's explosive temper, recounting arguments that escalated quickly, accusations that came out of nowhere, and Lee's growing fear that Tracie might one day seriously hurt him. The picture that emerged was not of a random attack, but of a relationship spiralling toward violence for months. Police were working behind the scenes to prove it, but they understood that dismantling Tracie's story would require more than pointing out inconsistencies. Her public performance had been powerful. She had cried on camera and trembled as she described the attacker, pleading for help with a level of emotion that made people instinctively sympathetic to her. And the press amplified her claims, running headlines about a mysterious killer on the loose. The public believed her. For a brief moment, even some officers wondered whether they were dealing with an unusually bizarre, random attack. But the evidence kept pulling them back to the same conclusion. The only person who could have killed Lee Harvey was the woman who stood sobbing in front of those cameras. Investigators reconstructed the timeline of the evening.
Do you know that I think we spoke about this earlier, but his mum was sat there with her, his mum Maureen, and I believe his sister, she was sat there with her, holding her hand at one point, and that woman, barefaced, did what she did. But again, it's that, like you say, that Mick...
I think it's Mick Finch.
I think it's Mick Finch, yeah, because I remember reading about that, and I just don't get where people have barefaced gall to... Do you know what I mean?
Do you know, like, there's that doubling down, isn't there, on a lie? There's that real doubling down about it.
Podpup.
Something's afoot. Podpup is speaking.
There's crimes to be foiled, and he's off.
But it's just such... Because you couldn't believe it wouldn't be true. For somebody to be saying those things.
Yeah.
And again, to gain sympathy from other people, to have his mum and his sister sharing in her grief, thinking that she has witnessed their family member be brutally killed.
Yeah.
And it's all a crock of shit.
They're thinking, yeah, exactly. They're thinking, oh, she's lost her fiancé, and a little girl has lost her dad.
Yeah.
As well.
So manipulative.
Crazy. Witnesses reported hearing raised voices earlier in the night, consistent with yet another argument between the couple. A neighbour recalled seeing the pair leave the house looking tense, Andrews storming ahead and Lee following behind. The drive along the road was short, but long enough for an argument to escalate. Forensic analysis of the car later showed signs of a struggle inside, including blood traces and disturbed items that contradicted Andrews' claim that the attack happened entirely outside of the vehicle. These details alone undermined her story. Detectives also examined Andrews' behaviour immediately after the killing. There you go. Yeah, so I have heard of that before, where they do that through press conferences. She repeatedly spoke about a man with starey eyes, repeating the phrase as though rehearsed. She insisted she had seen him clearly, despite the lack of lighting on the road. She gave a description so detailed it bordered on cinematic, mentioning the attacker's shirt, hair, eyes, and even the way he moved.
Good Lord, that's a lot.
Well, they often say, don't they, if you're in the middle of a lie, you over-explain.
Yes.
You go into too much detail. So she's obviously pulled this out of her arse about this story and just gone into that overdrive of, if the more detail I give them, the more it sounds like it's a real person.
Yeah.
Bullshitter. Billy bullshitter. None of it matched any known individual, and no one in the area had seen anyone resembling the description. Officers began to suspect that Andrews' dramatic retelling was not trauma, but self-preservation, I'll say. Police also learned that Lee had been planning to leave Andrews. He'd confided in a friend that he was considering ending the relationship but didn't know how to do it safely. He feared Andrews' reaction would be extreme. He said she had threatened to harm herself during previous arguments, and he worried she might lash out if he tried to walk away.
Such a fucking manipulative mood,
isn't it? That's just threatening to harm yourself. That's control and coercion 101, isn't it? This information became crucial to investigators, who began to see the killing not as a spontaneous act, but as the culmination of a long-term pattern of volatility. Most notably, 2 witnesses came forward after Andrews' press conference to say that they had seen Lee's white Ford Escort driving past them on the lane where he was murdered that night, but no car was following it and no other vehicles had been seen on that lane that evening. And I live in a village and I know what it's like to drive around country lanes and things, and there's no way somebody going out for a walk on a country lane, you're very aware of what cars are going past you, and you would see if there was an argument, if there was 2 cars racing by and that they were snaking past each other and fighting to get, you'd notice that, wouldn't you? You're not
100%. 100%. Somebody playing cat and mouse on a, revving around and speeding, no doubt, if that's what supposedly happened.
Yeah, you'd
stand out like a mile.
Yeah, somebody would have seen that if they were walking down there. Police then discovered a penknife-shaped bloodstain and impression in Andrews' boot, convincing them she had carried the murder weapon in her boot after the killing and disposed of it in the hospital. It was known that there had been a penknife in Harvey's car on the night of the murder. Andrews had spent long periods of time in the toilet at the hospital for unknown reasons, which may have given her the place and time to dispose of the murder weapon.
Sickening.
After examining her heavily blood-stained jumper, police determined that the blood had been sprayed onto her after she'd stabbed through Harvey's carotid artery, explaining the distinctive blood pattern, and that would have been some blood spray as well, because if that hits an artery, which it obviously did, that would just... We've all seen Dexter.
We have.
With suspicion mounting, Andrews attempted suicide the day after the press conference by taking an overdose of pills.
Of course she did.
Well, it's a woe is me, isn't it? Oh, look, something is going to happen to me after I've done this. So my first port of call is I'm going to take an out rather than facing what I've done. I've lied through my back teeth, destroyed a family. I've taken a father away from a daughter, but now I'm going to do something about it to try and cover up yet again what I've done. Her suicide attempt, combined with confirmation that no road rage incident could have occurred, convinced police of the need to arrest her. She was still in hospital on the 7th of December when police first arrested her and questioned her about the murder. So they didn't hang about. That's from the time of the police conference to then, that's days, isn't it? They weren't messing around. After being discharged, she was charged with the murder of Lee Harvey on the 19th of December 1996. The arrest shocked the public, who had seen her tearful television appeal and believed she was a grieving partner. But as the truth emerged, public opinion shifted.
Well, not bloody surprising, is it? So it should have done.
Well, you'd be livid, wouldn't you? You'd be thinking, we've had the wool well and truly pulled over our eyes watching it.
People began to see her televised plea not as a cry for help, but as a calculated attempt to manipulate the investigation and divert suspicion.
Well, it was.
During the trial in 1997, The prosecution skillfully deconstructed her story, demonstrating its implausibility. 7 minutes had passed between Lee being fatally stabbed and being discovered by the occupant of the adjacent cottage, during which time Tracie Andrews made no attempt to summon help from nearby houses or anyone else.
7 minutes. That's horrendous.
Such a long time when you think about it, isn't it?
Yeah, and you don't realise how long 7 minutes is until you actually. I mean, if you think about it, if we were to remain completely silent now for 7 minutes,
wouldn't happen. But yeah,
well, no, it wouldn't happen. But people would just turn off, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
because you know, and then go into the rest of the story. Just to give you an idea of how long 7 minutes is, that's more than most songs playing on the radio.
It's
Horrendous.
devastating, really devastating. Police stated that Lee had tried to leave the vehicle at the location where he was murdered and that an argument had then occurred. Many of his stab wounds were in his back, indicating that Tracie Andrews had stabbed him while he retreated from the car. Tracie's mother stated after the trial that she could not understand why her daughter had invented the implausible story she gave. I can understand it. She wants to save her own fucking skin.
Yeah, basically. What a stupid
why.
thing to say. Oh, I don't understand why she made it up. Why do you think she made it up? She's trying to shaft everyone. She doesn't want to go to fucking jail for murdering some poor guy.
Andrews was found guilty on the 29th of July, 1997 at Birmingham Crown Court.
Up the Brummies.
Up the Brummies. So I always want to say, whenever I say Birmingham, I always want to say Birmingham, which is probably really irritating to the people of Birmingham. So I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. I'm used to it because mum being from Smethwick, I often hear it all the time, and it's very much, it's always, go and catch the buzz. It's not bus, buzz. It's not buzz, it's bus.
The judge sentenced Tracie Andrews to life imprisonment, describing her behaviour after the killing as a wicked and calculating performance.
Amen.
He noted the extraordinary lengths that she had gone to in order to deceive investigators and the public. Her tearful press conference, once seen as a tragic plea from a grieving partner, became infamous as one of the most manipulative displays ever broadcast in a British criminal case. Inside prison, Andrews maintained her innocence for nearly 2 years.
Cheeky bitch.
However, in April 1999, she admitted that she had stabbed Lee to death and that her entire story had been invented. Changing her story again, however, she then claimed that she stabbed him in self-defence. What, in the back?
Yeah, apparently so.
There is no evidence to support this claim, particularly as Lee was stabbed mostly in the back.
Unbelievable.
Lee's family struggled with the aftermath. They'd lost a son, a brother, and a father, and they'd watched his killer stand in front of cameras and portray herself as the victim. They'd watched her lie repeatedly, inventing a stranger, inventing details, inventing a narrative that cast Lee as a hero trying to protect her. They'd watched her manipulate the public, the press, and even some investigators. And they'd watched her continue to deny responsibility even after being confronted with the overwhelming evidence. For them, the trial proved justice, but not closure.
Didn't you say that you'd read something from his sister?
Yeah, so his sister Michelle and his mum Maureen, obviously they were both with her at the appeal and supporting her and stuff.
Yep.
She tried to, I think I read she tried to appeal for an unfair trial.
Tracie Andrews.
Yeah, I believe so.
She didn't turn up though, did she?
No, she didn't. She didn't turn up to the. And Michelle kind of said something along the lines of, you know, that bitch deserves to rot in hell, and she couldn't even face the judges. She wavered her right to address the court directly at any point.
That's the thing, isn't it?
During her sentencing.
I can see why she'd say something like that. Just the pure cheek of her trying to appeal that.
Yeah.
I can see their anger.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Completely justified.
The case became a landmark example of how public perception can be shaped by emotion rather than evidence. Tracie Andrews' televised appeal had been powerful because it tapped into a universal instinct, sympathy for someone who appears traumatised. People saw her tears and believed her. They saw her shaking hands and believed her. The emotional display overshadowed the forensic reality. It took days for investigators to dismantle the narrative that she had constructed in minutes. The case became a reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that emotional performances can obscure the truth.
Lee Harvey's death remains a stark example of how domestic violence can escalate behind closed doors. It shows how jealousy, insecurity, and emotional volatility can build over time, creating pressure that eventually erupts into violence. It shows how victims can become trapped in relationships where they feel unable to leave, fearing their partner's reaction, and it shows how perpetrators can attempt to manipulate public perception, creating elaborate narratives to divert suspicion and avoid accountability. Andrews remains one of the most notorious figures in British criminal history, not because of the brutality of the crime, although horrendous, but because of the extraordinary lengths she went to in order to conceal it. Andrews was released in July 2011. That's after a life sentence, apparently. Well done, British justice system.
I said before, I'll say it again, I love it how
the Americans build onto it. Yeah, absolutely.
Because how is that life?
It's not,
how
is it?
That life?
It's not. She was banned from travelling within 25 miles of her victim's family without supervision. Now, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
After her release, she changed her name to Tia Carter and altered her appearance. Yep.
Of course she did.
What is with these women that... Rose West did the same, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
What is with these women? New name.
New
who
name.
dis? Yeah. New name, who dis? It's all gone away now.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist, what I did.
Just wipe the slate clean.
Because I've got a new name.
With a new name. New me. Fresh start. Clean slate.
Yeah. None of that ever happened.
Oh, go fuck yourself, Tracy.
I'm not still an arsehole.
Tracie Andrews in this pod, let me tell you.
Yeah. And nothing but.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other slight words as well. And this bit as well, this is delightful. She underwent £5,000 worth of NHS surgery to change the shape of her distinctive jaw.
You are joking me.
Honestly, cheeky bit. £5,000 to change your jaw. And I mean, because she looks like Jimmy Hill.
How can you fucking manage that? £5,000 on the NHS. I mean, was it under the right to choose or something? I'm not being funny, right? If I'm losing weight at the moment, I've lost quite a lot of weight, I'm going to be left with some empty skin.
But you've done amazing. Just like to put that in.
Going to be left with some empty skin. Can I get skin removal surgery on the NHS? No, sirree Bob.
That pisses me off.
Can I get any fat jab on the NHS? No, sirree Bob, because I don't meet the criteria. But fucking, she's got her chin
Tracie Andrews with a Sporticus chin from Lazytown can
I can't possibly be recognised after being a lying witch.
Unbelievable.
Livid, mate, livid.
However, she's again changed her name from Tia Carter to Jenna Stevens.
Right, how did she fuck up the Tia name, I wonder? Does she need to clean the slate again?
Maybe. Or / Jenna Stevens Goldsworthy.
Oh, double barrel.
Because in 2017, she married a bouncer.
Was he fat and did he have stereo?
Well, maybe.
A lot of bouncers are, they do.
To be quite honest with you, I'm glad he's a bouncer because he'd probably be able to rock her jaw that she's had £5,000
Jesus
if she attempts anything. Unbelievable. But apparently he knows all about her crimes, so it's all right.
He does. And sleeps with one eye open.
Yeah, quite. Jesus Christ. When plans to release her were announced, a fellow female inmate and former prisoner lover of Andrews said that Andrews had continued to act possessively and aggressively in relationships while in prison.
Oh, she learned her lesson then, didn't she?
Yeah.
Reformed.
Well, it's the same old, isn't it? You change your name, but you can't change your shitty fucking personality, your dark soul.
You can't get that on the NHS, can you? No, you can't, Tracy.
The woman apparently said that she opposed Andrews' release and warned she would kill again. That's a statement and a half, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
The story of Tracie Andrews and Lee Harvey is a reminder that behind closed doors, relationships can become dangerous, and it's not always at the hands of a male. It is a reminder that emotional manipulation can be powerful but not infallible. And it is a reminder that the truth, once uncovered, reveals not just the crime, but the dynamics that led to it.
Jesus Christ, it's so sad.
It's just an awful story. And so I thought we'd kind of address this, and also knowing that the drama series is, well, it'll be out by the time that we've released this anyway, and it's probably, actually Danielle is on TikTok Lee's daughter,
Mm.
and she mentioned about it coming out, and she was a bit upset about it, and I can understand that wholeheartedly, because she lost her dad, didn't she?
Did.
She never got that justice, and then old Tia stroke Jenna stroke Nuchin stroke Tracie Andrews is out there wobbling around on her happy days, just doing what she likes with her new husband. And I just think it's so important that we address the fact that domestic abuse isn't always aimed at women.
Oh God, 100%. Anyone could be an abuser, and anyone can be abused.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's just as important for men to come forward and speak about it, and never feel embarrassed about what's gone on. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you any less of a man, as some men like to seem to think that it does. It's just important that it gets told and it gets dealt with, because God forbid something like this then happens again.
Things can escalate so quickly, and I know we wanted to mention it, and it's so important to raise awareness of Clare's Law.
Yes.
Which is a law whereby if you are getting into a relationship or becoming serious within a relationship, or even at any point,
even in a relationship you've been in for a while,
at any point, you can go into any police station as a man or a woman and say, here is my partner's name, here is their date of birth, here is our current address. Can you please tell me if this person has any history of domestic abuse? And the police will tell you. And that law has been put in place to protect people as much as possible.
As much as possible. Yeah, because unfortunately that was the fight of one family, and we will cross that case at a point, because we're going to do it on our slightly smaller pod.
Our little side quest of a podcast.
Yeah, we're going to do some that's going to be our tangents and our random crap that we talk about. But also I think it's important that we will cover Clare's Law on that when we bring it out, and also Sarah's Law as well will be another one, because you'll be surprised how many people don't know actually understand or know about Clare's Law.
I think it's the other thing to remember as well is obviously Danielle, Lee's daughter. It's not just the people within that relationship who are affected. It's those children have grown up affected. You know, Lee's daughter and Tracie Andrews' daughter have grown up affected by the actions of what happened that day, possibly affected by how the relationship was going. You know, and we have to remember as adults that we're showing our children what love looks like, and where our boundaries lie, and how we can seek help and seek support if we're unsafe or unhappy, and how we can change things. And something that Maureen, Lee's mum, mentioned as time's gone on in various interviews, obviously Danielle was 3 years old when Lee died, and she was so young and she couldn't immediately comprehend the news. But as she grew older, Maureen was saying that her primary reaction was deep fear and anxiety that her mum would also be killed. She said that Danielle expressed this trauma by asking, she won't get out, will she?
That's just heartbreaking.
And just out of the terror that Tracie Andrews would be released and come after her mother, Danielle told her nan, Maureen, I think something is going to happen to my mum.
But that in itself just speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Hugely. And what has Tracie Andrews got? A new name, a new life, been able to live again, you know? And what, her bound is not to go within 25 miles of Lee Andrews' family or home or the murder site.
And that's
what is that? What is that? And she had the gall to appeal not only the conviction but the trial in itself. Fucking cheap.
And that's it. I think sometimes we just forget about the real story out there, don't we? That it's not just adults that are affected, it is kids as well. And effectively this whole family's life has just been torn apart, hasn't it? From one person's actions.
So that is the, you know, tragic ending to the
story of Tracie Andrews and Lee Harvey. And not, you know, a bit of a harsh one, but I think it's important we get it out there.
Sure is, especially at this time of year. You know, World Cup's on, domestic abuse increases, as we know, at the time of sporting events.
And with the summer and the sun shining and things like that, people start drinking more, and DA does unfortunately become a little bit more, numbers do rise. So
more prevalent.
But anyway, yes, so we will see you next week with a new case.
We will. And please follow us
on all the socials, as per usual,
media.
on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Faceache, and
Spotify.
Yeah, go and listen to us on Spotify, wherever you can. And tatty bye for now.
Ta-ta.
Take care of you.